Hello, friends in the silent majority, here to have your voices heard, to have your voices spoken for. I am like CM Punk. I'm the voice of the voiceless, but he turned out to be a hypocrite. In that way, he did absolutely nothing that summer. That's really inside baseball for my WWE fans. You know who I am, Chris Wells. Welcome back to the normal procedure. And you know you have to do the things, do all the things, do them, do the things, leave a comment, start a discussion, send a like and a share and all that stuff that everyone asks you to do, no matter where you go and no matter how you get your content in this age of the internet. And the age of the internet produces a lot of news. I don't really discuss news on my platform, I guess you can call it. I don't discuss news because you're getting news from all other angles. I try to discuss things that, normal people, average people can relate to. I try to tell my stories. I try to make it funny, because you're just getting so overwhelmed with news. So I live under a rock on purpose. I don't, people always try to make that a bad thing. Like, oh, you must live under a rock. Well, what do you prefer? You want me to just follow the herd? You want me to live the life that everyone else is living, obeying the same social norms that everyone else obeys and lives by? Like, here's the thing. We appreciate individuality, but at the same time, we want people to be like how we are. Now, when I say I speak for the silent majority, that's when it comes to the things that I believe. Some people may call them controversial or subjective, but I speak for things that I think are objective, things that are common sense, like common sense that isn't so common nowadays. Like, that's what I mean, normal. And I made a podcast a while back talking about how normal people bore me. But that's not us. There's normal and then there's normal. There's the people that don't encounter any sort of struggle, no trials. They don't have any character building experiences. Like, they have two parents in the house. They always have groceries. They don't ever have to wonder if their lights get turned off. Like, that's a normal life. Everyone should want to have that sort of normal life. The only consequence to that is just it's going to make you boring as fuck. But you're still normal. You're still part of the normal people. And then there's the other normal people who, we live, trials. We live a life where we encounter things that make us more flavored personalities. It gives us character. We either have trying upbringings or we're living through trying times now. That's normal life. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. So I guess I'm speaking for both sides, but I appreciate one demographic of normal people more than the other demographic of normal people, if that makes any sense. So what I was saying is, we appreciate individuality, but we also want people to go along to get along. You gotta like what I like. You gotta be in my tribe. And the people that are tribal are very loud on both sides, when most of us are like right here in the fucking middle. And everyone that's in the middle, we're hearing all of these news stories being screamed from each side, just fucking coming to us in the middle for us to decipher and decide which side that we fucking agree with. Which ones do we agree with here? By common culture, by modern culture, you would consider someone like me, a young black man, to be a conservative just by what's happening in common culture. But when I was growing up and in my younger years, there was no way I would be associated with any sort of conservative or Republican thought. None. Like Bush. Everyone hated Bush. I didn't even know why we hated Bush, but I just knew that we hated Bush. I didn't know anything about politics, but now I'm consuming so much rhetoric and so much of this political jargon and news to where they're kind of forcing you to one side or the other. So I purposely live under a rock when it comes to most news. Why? Because most news is fucking bad news. Well, I'm not going to say most news. You just don't hear the good news. What you hear and what gets publicized is all the bad news. All the bad news, all of the tribal news, all of the fake news, all the disinformation, misinformation. Like, what the fuck? Like, chill. Just fucking chill. That's the advice that I'm going to give to the people that listen to my content and see my content. You have to fucking chill sometimes. Sometimes it's nice to put yourself under a rock. That rock is warm, or that rock is cool. That rock is whatever the fuck you want it to be, honestly. Just get under that. Burrow under that motherfucker sometimes. Turn that shit off. Like, disconnect yourself sometimes. And people wonder why we got fucking mental issues. People wonder why people are suffering from anxiety. You're on your phone too much. You're consuming too much media. You're consuming too much tribalism and all this fucking disaster porn. And you wonder why you're going fucking crazy. I could tell you why. You never turn off. You never disengage. I have no idea who the fucking celebrities are nowadays. I couldn't tell you. I could not fucking tell you any of their names. I don't know what songs are popular. I have no fucking idea. Want to know why? You want to know why? It's cozy under that rock. I'm under that fucking rock. I come out when it's time to come out. My content isn't pop culture content. I couldn't give two fucks. You want to know why? Because they're not the silent majority. They're not the rest of us. Who gives a fuck? Seriously, who gives a fuck? The fact that I think TMZ is still around, I think they are, when their whole entire industry is built on being nosy and trying to get quote unquote news into famous people's lives, and people consume this content, it's kind of sick. It's really weird. That's fucking weird. And that's considered news. It's considered celebrity news. The important people. The people that matter. Not us. Them. Those are the ones that matter. And I'm not a bitter person who's saying that, fuck celebrities, fuck the 1%ers, eat the rich. Like, kudos to all of these people that made something of their lives, and now they're living, a life of luxury and fame and admiration. Kudos to them. But they're not the most of us. So, news. It's disaster porn. And I just, for I don't know, for reasons unbeknownst to me, I just wanted to know what the news was. So I just went to, MSNBC, CNN, just to look at the news stories that they were covering. And it's all like rape and murder, fucking fire, disasters, plane crashes, train crashes, daylight shootings. It's like, oh shit, it's the end of the world. Look at that shit. It is the end of times. Like, and just perverted nature of, propagating and pushing out this content. And I kind of think that we are addicted to it too. People by nature, we're addicted to, I won't say addicted, but we're drawn to just out of the ordinary conflict, out of the ordinary, drama or catastrophes or unfortunate events. Like, that's what makes us, perk up. That's what gets our attention. All of this disastrous shit, all of this unfortunate shit, all of this perverted shit. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to listen to. That's what we like to read. You want to read about this guy, Pong Dong, or whatever the fuck his name is. I'm not trying to do any sort of Asian racial appropriation, by the way. I really do think his name is Pong Dong. But this motherfucker was a genius. He's like an engineering genius. Just imagine if you could put his engineering genius into something else. This motherfucker had a coffee cup that he constructed a tiny camera to fit inside this coffee cup just so he could record the men's locker room in his local gym. Just think about that. Think about the effort that takes. Like, it's so much porn, so much male porn that you could watch, if that's what you're into. But no, he wanted the real thing. He wanted to be close to the dicks. He wanted to be close to the men in the dicks. But I think it was more, sinister than that. I think he was actually recording teenage boys and little boys. And that motherfucker needs to be set on fire and thrown into the street and ran over by a fucking brigade of tanks, and just turned into melted paste, and you just go over him and make him one with the pavement. But even then, you would have to cut up that chunk of pavement because people would know that's where he was plastered and turned into fucking a pancake, melted human pancake. I don't even think anyone would traverse down that road at that point. But think about the creativity and the ingenuity that this motherfucker had to put a camera in a coffee cup so he can record dicks in real time. Like, the porn was not good enough for this man. Like, at least the porn shows you men fucking or whatever you're into. The porn shows you whatever you're into. But he wasn't satisfied with that. This sick motherfucker had to actually go in and see it for himself, just not even doing anything sexual, just limp dicks. That's what he wanted to see. It's so strange. That's in the news. Murderers escaping prison. Like, murderers are escaping prison at a rate that I don't think I've ever seen. Maybe I live under a rock. I don't know. Maybe they have been escaping prison, for this long for a while. I have no idea. But I've read like 3 escape prisoner articles just today. Some guy overpowered, the officer in transit and got out. Some lady that was a corrections officer, I guess, was dating one of the dudes there, and she helped him escape. I think they ended up getting caught. She killed herself. Oh, and these are murderers, by the way, that are escaping prison. Murderers! This is the news! They're like, shit, just imagine if you were a newborn person and you were born an adult on this planet and you were just propped in front of a fucking, computer and just read the news. You would be like, why am I here? I am in danger all the time. All the time I'm surrounded by danger. And you don't even think about the fact that we're on a floating blue ball, floating in infinity, being powered by a giant fireball. You don't even think about that because we're too small to think about that. That's even more dangerous than the shit that we actually living in. You get hit by a space object. There's a war in Ukraine. You get hit by a nuke if you do the wrong thing. If Russia feels like you did the wrong thing. You said the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing. You flew a plane over there. So we're going to hit you with a nuke. We're going to blow you the fuck up. This is the fucking news. This is crazy. What else did I write down? I had to write this shit down. It was so absurd. Oh my God. Like, I don't even mean to laugh at this, but this is also the news. I need a fucking Monaco, sugar free. They're not advertiser. They should be. These are the only ones I drink. No sugar added, gluten free, Monaco. I'm trying to lose my my winter belly. I don't know about you guys, but that shit gets harder and harder every year. So I read this other story where a lady thought her 3-year-old daughter was possessed by a demon. I'm not even making this up. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. A 3-year-old girl was possessed by a demon, her mother believed. So what do when you think your 3-year-old is possessed by a demon? Well, you do what any other concerned mother would do. You take her to the church and you have her exorcised. Exorcise this child. And I ain't talking about jumping jacks. You don't get them on the motherfucking... You don't take them to the playground. I'm talking about you have to get the demon out of their body. What the fuck? With 2022. Okay, I am a religious man. But I don't believe in demons. Demons? Like, okay, maybe on some level I believe in evil. I believe there are evil people. And some of these evil people, they are the result of having brain disorders, psychopaths, sociopaths. They don't have any empathy. They don't have any regard for human life. You know, that's a form of evil. Or people that, you know, do things in regards to children and abuse of people. That's a form of evil, right? But are they possessed by demons? I can't believe I'm asking this question. Are those people possessed by demons? And these are full-grown people. So how do you know your 3-year-old is possessed by a demon? How do you know this? And apparently, what brought her to this conclusion was that her 3-year-old woke up screaming and crying at night. Well, fuck, is that not what 3-year-olds do? Maybe she's scared. Maybe she's having night terrors. How do you go from, you know, screaming 3-year-old, right? And you skip past all of the other things that I mentioned. Nightmares, night terrors, scared of the dark. You skip past all of that. Screaming 3-year-old demon. Possessed by a demon. Gotta have her exorcised. This is a real news story. Stupid bitch. What is wrong with you? And what she does, she has the little girl, the 3-year-old, exercise, and she dies. She kills her own child with a 6-hour exorcism they were trying. Asphyxiation, I think. Like asphyxiation. They suffocated her. She couldn't breathe. Because they were shoving their fingers down a 3-year-old's throat. This is in the fucking news. We're getting dark. I apologize. But that's my point, though. That is my whole point. People consume this daily. Consume all this doom and gloom. And you wonder why you're fucking scared and paranoid and you got anxiety. It's because you're consuming all of this darkness. You're disturbed. I would be disturbed. But I'm under my rock. I am under my rock. There's another news story that I read. All of this is today, by the way. This is the news I consumed today. Some guy buried his cousin, his relative. Some guy buried his cousin 10 feet underground. Now, I'm not sure about the details of this story. And I'm not sure about the details of all of these stories, by the way. Innocent until proven guilty. All that stuff. I have to hold myself accountable in that regard because I don't want anybody coming after me and saying I'm disinformation, I'm misinformation, whatever the fuck that means. But this guy apparently picked up his cousin. They combined their marijuana supplies. This was at 10:30 in the evening. The girl was 17, by the way. The mother let a 17-year-old leave the house, after 10 p.m. I don't know where other people stand on that. I don't care, family member or not. You stay your ass in the house. What the fuck are you doing? You are not grown. Stay the fuck in the house. You can stay out as late as you want when you're grown, but you ain't grown. I don't care. But that's neither here nor there. The 17-year-old gets to leave the house. She goes with her cousin, her adult male cousin. They combine their weed and they smoke. By his account of what happened, he returned to the room after taking a break to go somewhere, and she was passed out on the floor. From his account, still sounds kind of suspicious. Doesn't sound that realistic to me. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, what do you do in this situation? What do you do? Do you try and shake her? Call a name? Resuscitate her? Anything? At the very most, call first responders, call the police, call EMS, tell them what happened. We smoked some weed. I think the weed killed her. Whatever. I've never heard of anyone dying from marijuana before. But what do you do? Normal people. What do you normal people do? It's the exact opposite of what this motherfucker did. He took the body and threw it in the dumpster. His cousin. He threw his cousin in the dumpster. And then the dumpsters get picked up and taken to, what do you call those things? Landfill? Like a landfill. So the police are trying to recover the body that's been buried 10 feet, according to what his story is. This is the news. I mean, need I fucking go on? Like, this is the last one I'm going to talk about. And this is probably the most ridiculous. This is the shit that you're consuming, by the way. And if you are, I hope you're not. I hope you have yourself a nice rock to be under. I hope you're not consuming this shit. My cat is currently trying to swipe at me from under my podcast chair. And he wonders why he spent time in isolation in the basement. He wonders why. I think I told you about that on the last podcast. He thinks he's a tiger. He doesn't understand. I have no regard for his tiny little life. I will end his tiny little life. He's not a baby. He's not a human. He's not a human. I don't care about you like I would a human. Fuck you. Fuck you. There's so many of you. I could just go have another one. Who the fuck do you think you are, you cat? You're not an asset to my life. You're just a liability. And if you become an annoying liability that's not a human, I give you away to nature. Try not to get picked up by a fucking owl, you cunt. This cunt of a cat. Just go away. Like he wants to make noise. Hey, get from over there. Now he wants to play with his toy in the middle of my podcast. I don't know what to do, people. Does anybody want a cat? Or should I kill it? Like, I know there's a podcast or a Netflix docu-series that says don't fuck with cats. Why not? Why not? Cats are cunts. They are not... Okay. Cats are the most cunty of pets. Even if you get a calm cat, they're still kind of cunts, right? Jesus Christ. I'm gonna release them to the wild. Let me get back to my last news story that I read. This is the news. There was this guy in the suburbs. He lives in the suburbs. This fella. Apparently living a nice life. And he gets in a dispute with his neighbor about, a zoning issue regarding a fence. Now, so one of the parties wanted the fence, and the other party didn't want the fence, right? So the neighbor didn't think that you could put the fence there, and they got into a dispute over it. It's a neighborly dispute, okay? You just needs a little bit of convincing, maybe pay them off a little bit. You just want a fence separating the two. What would a normal person do in that instance? You get in a dispute with your neighbor. You want to put a fence up. You want to separate you two. Hell, I'm dealing with the same thing. I would love to have a fence around me. I would love to have a fence because I already have thin walls. Very thin walls. I know you guys can hear what's going on outside. Whenever the badass kids next door are playing basketball, they got a ghetto-ass, dandruff-covered dog that look like they found it underneath a patch of fucking woodchucks. They found this dog in a sewer. They decided to adopt it because they needed a companion, although they leave it outside all the fucking time. It's some ghetto shit happening. This is some ghetto shit happening. And these are white people. Anyway. So I would love to have a fence. Just for an extra barrier between me and the fucking madness. But I'm reasonable. I will come to terms with my neighbor. Respect thy neighbor. I think that's what it is. Is it honor thy wife? Respect thy neighbor? Whatever the fuck. Bible nonsense. I might talk about some Bible nonsense in my next podcast. Because I am religious. But there is some nonsense in the Bible. There's some fucking nonsense in there. But, yeah, what would you do? Would you kill her? Would you murder her because you couldn't have your fence? Would you beat her to death for that barrier between the houses? Just some planks of wood shoved into the ground, some dirt, a minor construction project that's worth the murder, that's worth killing, that's worth the rest of your life in prison. Well, apparently this is what this crazy fuck did. He killed his neighbor and then set the house on fire to try and cover up his crime. This is the news. And with the war in Ukraine, fucking Roe versus Wade, Biden being dead, I guess, him slowly dying in front of our eyes. Our leaders are not leading. Inflation, gas prices, there's no more baby formula, there's a food shortage. It's chaos. This is the news. You need to find yourself a rock. Go on to just for a little bit of reprieve. Escapism. We care about this shit more than we ever have in the human history. We're just technology has a lot to do with it. The internet has a lot to do with it. Access to information. But sometimes too much information is a bad thing. Especially when the information that you're getting is all fucking negative. It's just information that makes you want to leave the planet. It's like, fuck it. Elon going to Mars? I'll take one. I'll be on that ship. Get me the fuck out of here. Come on, Elon. Save us, please, Elon. Save us. Fuck. Is it too late? I don't know. But remember to do the things. Do all the things. I'm going to try my best to not give this animal to nature. Because I know supposedly you don't fuck with cats. But fuck cats, dude. Fuck cats. Yeah, you. All right, bye.